Yes, good morning students. Yes, today's topic is in biology, that is reproduction. Okay, in this chapter of reproduction, totally it carries of about 25 marks. Okay, in this chapter we get around 25 marks. Okay, and in the chapter of reproduction there are 4 different units, and the first unit is reproduction in organism, and the second unit is reproduction in the higher plant, and third unit is reproduction in the human beings, and the last one is reproductive health. Now let's discuss about the first unit, that is reproduction in organisms. Okay, so in the reproduction in organism we are going to study about the general terms and the general differentiation and the general form of a general different types of a sexual and asexual reproduction. Okay, in the reproduction of organisms. Okay, so we know that what do you mean by first term, that is reproduction. So we know that the chapter name is reproduction. So what do you mean by reproduction? Reproduction is nothing but that is giving birth of their own offspring. Okay, to produce their own offspring is called as a reproduction. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ವರ್ಡ್ ಈ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ ನಲ್ಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಟು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಒಂದು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಾಟ್ we have here, prefix we have as a re. So reproduction, to produce the same copy. Okay, to produce. So here the organism is to reproduce of their own species is called as a reproduction. Okay, so reproduction in organism. Okay, so if we know that if there is a reproduction, okay, if now there is a reproduction, which is nothing but the organism is giving birth to the young one. So now what is that? So now there is a birth of a, okay, now there will be the birth of a organism. If there is a birth, obviously there will be the death of a organism alva. So janana iddaga marana kuda irutte. So that is the birth and the death of a organisms will be there. So in between the birth and the death there are different stages are there in this both. Okay, that is birth and the death, there are different stages will be followed. So other the first stage, okay, first stage is a birth. Okay, so from the birth it is followed by the second stage called as a juvenile stage. Juvenile stage. Okay, second stage it is called as a juvenile stage, whereas this third stage it is called as a, okay, followed by the juvenile stage will be the reproductive stage. Okay, followed by the juvenile stage will be the reproductive stage. Okay, so and after the reproductive stage there is another stage which is called as a aging. So aging, so aging is a term which is more appropriate for the human beings but not for the plants. Okay, so for the plants the aging term, so plants human beings ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, aging ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, but whereas in the plants we call it as a senescence. Senescence or senescensing. Okay, senescence. Okay, so aging is said to be for the human beings, okay, for the organism, whereas senescence is said to will be set for the plants. Okay, and followed by the aging and senescence will be the death. Okay, so this death it is a natural process. Okay, death is a natural process alva. Death now it might be occur even accidentally alva. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು in this stages we are considering about the natural death. Okay, we are considering about the natural death. So these are the different stages alva. So all these stages, okay, this all stages will be included under the term called as a, it is been included under the term called as a lifespan. Okay, so ಈಗ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ stages ಯಾವ ತರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, this all stages will come under the lifespan. So lifespan ನಲ್ಲಿ, so when there is a when the organism reproduce, so that organism is having its own lifespan. So there is a birth stage, juvenile stage, reproductive stage, aging or senescence, and last month is a death. Okay. Now, what do you mean by this juvenile stage? Juvenile stage is a stage where the growth will take place. Growth of a human, growth of a one organisms will take place in the juvenile stage. So in this stage, the organism is not able to reproduce to the young one. Okay. So in this stage, even the stage nalli organisms reproduce ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? It is called as a juvenile stage. So juvenile stage ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ? Reproductive stage. So in this chapter, we are studying about this stage, that is reproductive stage. Okay. Now in the chapter nalli yadra ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಲಿತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, we are discussing about the reproductive stage. Okay. Now all these stages will come under the lifespan. Okay. ಈಗ lifespan ಅಂತ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ means what? Lifespan ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಯಸ್ಸು ಎಲ್ಲ organisms ಗೂ ಒಂದೇ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತಾ? No. The lifespans will vary from one organism to another. Alva? So now let's see the different lifespan of the different organism. So before this, let's consider the shortest lifespan to be known till now. So now let's see the shortest lifespan of a organism. Okay. So the shortest lifespan to be known for it is an insect called as mayfly. So mayfly, it is an insect and it is being considered to be the shortest lifespan. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇದರದ್ದು ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಇದರದ್ದು ಆಯುಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ 24 hours. ಸೊ ಇದರದ್ದು ಆಯುಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ದಿನ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ 24 hours, that is 1 day. ಸೊ ಇದರದ್ದು ಆಯುಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? ಜಸ್ಟ್ 1 day. ಈ ಒಂದು 24 hours ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾವ್ದು ಸ್ಟೇಜಸ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಒಂದು ಮೇಫ್ಲೈ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೇಜಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಅದು ಅಳವಡಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ಮೇಫ್ಲೈ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ 24 hours. ಸೊ ಮೇಫ್ಲೈ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ the insects will lay the egg which changes into the larva. From the larva it changes to pupa. From pupa it will changes to adult, where the adult one will reproduce and then it will die. All the stages it will just complete in what time? Yes, just in a 24 hours. Okay. So here, and one thing to be noted here, that is a reproductive phase, it will complete just in a 7 to 10 minutes. So reproductive or adult phase, reproductive or it is a adult phase, ಇದನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? It will just complete in a 7 to 10 minutes. So this is what? So this is a time period of a mayfly, that is to complete its reproductive phase. ಆಯ್ತಾ? reproductive phase ನಾನು just 7 to 10 minutes ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So the mayfly, it is considered to be the shortest lifespan. So this question they might ask in your further like exams like CET. Okay, make a note of this. Now let's see the longest life cycle. Okay, that is longest life cycle. Okay, until now the longest life cycle to be considered for the tortoise. So tortoise, we know that tortoise is a very slow moving organism, right? So this tortoise, it is to be the longest, it is having the longest life cycle. So here the tortoise, its life cycle is for around 200 to 300 years. Okay, so the ಆಯುಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ? It is for 200 to 300 years. It is considered to be the longest known life cycle. Aita? So that is 200 to 300 years. And next, the example for the longest lifespan is bowhead whale. Okay, bowhead whale. It is an aquatic animal. Okay, its lifespan it is around 250 years. Okay, its lifespan around 250 years. It will complete all its lifespan. The stages of a lifespan in the 250 years, that is bowhead whale. Okay, and next example is parrot. Okay, parrot, it will complete its life cycle in the year of 150 years. So 150 years idrದ್ದು ಆಯಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ್ದ್ರದ್ದು? That is of parrot. Parrot is having the lifespan of around 150 years. Okay. Now if we consider for the human beings, how much? What is the lifespan? That is what is a scientific name of human beings? Yes, it is Homo sapiens. So it is around how much now? So ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು 100 ವರ್ಷ 100 years lifespan, is 100 years ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. But nowadays it has been reducted to the 60 years. Now it is having the lifespan around, we are having lifespan around 60 to 100 years. Okay. So whatever the lifespan is dependent only on the natural death. Make a note of this. It is of a natural death, not the artificial death. So accidentally ಆಗುವಂತಹ death ಗೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವುದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೆತ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? ವಿ ಸೇ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೇಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? It is around 60 to 100 years. Okay, all this lifespan it is dependent upon the metabolic activity of the organism. Metabolic activity ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಬಯೋಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಫುಡ್, ನಾವು ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ದಟ್ ಫುಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈಡ್, ಮೆಟಬೊಲೈಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೊಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ನಾವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾವ್ದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರಹ ಮೆಟಬಾಲಿಕ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಯೋಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಹೇಗಿದೆ, ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ದು ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಮೆಟಬಾಲಿಕ್ ಆರ್ ಬಯೋಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಮೆಟಬಾಲಿಕ್ ಆರ್ ಬಯೋಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ನಮ್ದು ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ ದ longest lifespan in the animals, whereas if we take for the plants, so that is it is been known for the peepal tree. So it is having a lifespan of around 1000 years. How much longer it is having the lifespan? It is having the lifespan of 1000 years. Okay, now if we take a mango tree, so it is having the lifespan of 100 years. Okay, so only 1000 years, that is more than 200 till 1000 years in peepal tree. It is longest to be known, whereas in the mango tree it is of around 100 years. So this is a lifespan of a plant. So idralli which factor we consider here is a certain metabolic, certain activities. Okay, very ತರ activities ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So based on that we consider the people as the longest known to have the lifespan. Okay, so lifespan ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಆದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸೈಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, lifespan is not depend upon the size. Okay, size ಮೇಲೆ lifespan is not dependent. Okay, to take this example, ಈಗ for example crow the lifespan ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? It is just for 20 to 25 years. ಆಯ್ತಾ? Crow the lifespan ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? 20 to 25 years. Okay, but when we take about the parrot, okay, parrot is having how much? It is having 150 years. Adre size ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ crow is having the bigger size than the parrot ಅಲ್ವಾ? So but ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ? Crow is having the less lifespan when compared to the parrot alva. So which means that the size is not dependent, size is not the factor to say about the lifespan. So different metabolic activity is considered to note the lifespan. Okay, so this is all about the general introduction about the lifespans. Okay, now let's see the different types of a lifespan. Okay, understood? The lifespan is having the different stages. So birth, juvenile, reproductive, aging and the dead. So juvenile stage is a growth phase. Here no reproduction takes place. Whereas in the reproductive stage, the adult will give rise to the young ones. Understood? Now let's see the two different types of reproduction. Okay. So this chapter it carries around 25 marks. So you should be noting all the main points over here. Make a keynotes. Now let's see the two different form of reproduction. Okay, the two different form is asexual reproduction. Okay, asexual reproduction, and another one is the sexual reproduction. There are two major forms. One is asexual reproduction and another one is a sexual reproduction. Now let's see the general difference between the sexual and asexual reproduction. Okay. So what do you mean by asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction there is no involvement of two parents. Okay, male parent and female parents involvement is not there. So here in asexual reproduction, only single parent is involved. Okay, how much? Only a single parent, either male or female. Okay, only a single parent is involved in the asexual reproduction. Whereas in the sexual reproduction, here the two parents. Okay, here how much? The two parents are involved in the sexual reproduction. Okay, two parents are involved. Whereas in the asexual reproduction, there is no fusion of gametes. So, ಈಗ ಒಂದು reproduction ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು male gamete, female gamete. It should fuse to form a zygote. ಅಲ್ವಾ male gamete ಯಾವುದು sperm, female gamete is a ovum. ಅಲ್ವಾ ಎರಡು fuse ಆದಾಗ two haploid gametes. When it fuse, then only we get a diploid zygote. Asexual reproduction just it is getting involved a single parent. So there is no fusion of a gamete. So no fusion of gametes. So gametes doesn't fuse together. Okay, there is no fusion of a gametes. But in sexual reproduction, there is a fusion of a gamete. So gametes, there are male gametes and female gametes. So male is represented in this form and female is represented in this form. So all this there will be the fusion of a gamete to produce a what? To produce a zygote. So this zygote is of diploid, whereas this one will be in the haploid form. There will be the fusion of a gametes. Okay. Now, this asexual reproduction. So the division, the type of a division involved here is it is a mitotic division. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ division involved ಆಗುತ್ತೆ asexual reproduction ನಲ್ಲಿ it is just a mitotic division. ಅಂದ್ರೆ one cell will divide. Okay, it will divide to form a, it gives it to other cells. So if it is a one cell, so it will do? It will divide and gives the to other cells. Okay, it will divide and gives that to other cells. So here in asexual reproduction, it will just take a mitotic division. And sexual reproduction, it is by the mitotic division. Okay, mitotic division, which is followed by it is meiotic division, which is followed by mitosis. Okay na, idರಲ್ಲಿ meiosis ಮತ್ತೆ mitosis. So ಈಗ meiotic division ಯಾವಾಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ? When there is a formation of gametes, gamete form ಆಗಿ zygote ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ? Till the formation of zygote, there will be the meiotic division. And when the zygote is formed, zygote is giving rise, will form a embryo. So embryo ಆಗುವಾಗ there will be the division of a mitosis. So in that here only mitosis, here both mitosis mitosis followed by the meiotic division followed by the mitosis. So in meiotic division ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, so this type of a division, so there will be the clone formation. Inform ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, there will be the clone formation. Clone formation ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸೇಮ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಟು ಡಾಟರ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ is present in this parent organism is being divided such that the genetic material what it is there in the parent will get passed to the daughter cells. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಈ ಒಂದು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ ನ ಏನ್ ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದರ ಡಾಟರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಅದು ಪಾಸ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್. ಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು, ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ದೆನ್ there is no morphological changes in the daughter cells. No morphological changes. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಈಗ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೇಮ್ ಲೈಕ್ even the daughter cells will be produced. Okay, same like parents cell ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, same type even the daughter cells are produced in the asexual reproduction. Understood? But here, whereas in the sexual reproduction, here there is no clone formation. Here it will form the recombination which results in the variation. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಓಕೆ, ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಹೇಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಈಗ ಇಫ್ ಅ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಡಸಂಟ್ ಲುಕ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಟು ದೇರ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್, no, right, there is some changes alva. ಈಗ some child is there, is that child is exactly similar to their parents? No, there will be the changes. Why is there changes? Because there is a recombination, it takes place. There will be the recombination between the genes, between the chromosomes. Understood? So which results in the variation. Understood? ಇಲ್ಲಿ variation ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, so there will be the morphological changes. Morphology ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Morphology means external appearance. So the external appearance of a child will be different from its parents. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಇದು morphologically changes ಇರುತ್ತೆ? Because ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ whatever the fused gametes ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, there will be the variation. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ morphological changes ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Morphological changes ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ there will be also be the genetic changes. Genetic genes ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Genes are responsible for the character alva. Genes are responsible for the character to get displaced. In genes changes ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ even the morphology, the external appearance in sexual reproduction, the reproduced organism, there will be the morphological changes. But here there is no morphological changes. Yake? Because whatever the genes is there is being carried exactly similar to their offspring. So even here there is no genetical changes in the asexual reproduction. So this is a general differentiation between asexual and sexual reproduction. So this asexual reproduction, it takes place in the lower organisms. Okay, lower organism ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸಸ್ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ reproductive organs will not be well developed. Right? Reproductive organs in lower organisms will not be well developed. Hence, so there will be the asexual kind of reproduction. So sexual reproduction, it is being observed in the higher organisms. Okay, higher organisms ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು sexual reproduction na ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. Understood? If we take an example of asexual reproduction, so the example, so many are there. Now let's let's see in the classification like amoeba, Paramecium, Euglena, some of the algae, Spirogyra. All these are some of the examples of asexual reproduction. For the example of sexual reproduction, the higher organism, especially the human beings, such as Homo sapiens, reproduce by the means of sexual reproduction. So this is the general difference between the sexual and asexual reproduction. In next class, we shall see about the different types of asexual reproduction.